Honor,
Respect.
honor,
Respect.
honor.
Respect.
Power fair. So the word has been said, let the deed be done. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. The information session for the Imperial Corps Agoodjié of the African Diaspora's Warrior Women's Weekend. We're going to be talking about the event that will be taking place in Atlanta, Georgia, the 16th through the 19th of May. I want to welcome all of you for joining us, but we're also going to take a few minutes to not only unpack what is anticipated over the weekend, but to have all of you get to know the Agoodjié who joined us in Benin. They're my four cornerstones. And I think we had a marvelous experience together, something that I would like to be able to recreate here in the United States. The Women Warriors Weekend will be the debut of the Agoodjié women, the Agoodjié's presence here in the United States. We started out in Benin. Of course, we had to pay homage to ancestral roots, but it's time for all sorts of reasons to launch the Agoodjié's presence here in the U.S. And I don't know what happened to any of you or for any of you in the country, but we had a 4.7 Richter scale earthquake in New York. And so I think it's a sign we are shaking things up quite literally. So having said that, perhaps I can start with a brief slideshow of what is coming and who I am. Let you know about me and the Royal Palace of the African Diaspora and the Imperial Corps Agoodjié. Okay. All right. So as I've mentioned, we're leading the Women Warriors Weekend in Atlanta. Atlanta, for some reason, has been calling me, and so I'm responding. Next slide, please. Who you are as a leader shapes those you command. Determine what kind of leader you are and leave no room for ambiguity. Remember, your drive towards liberation and transformation is a historical, social, personal, and spiritual matter. This is at the core at what has been driving me to set up the ICAAD, the Imperial Corps Agoodjié. There's so much that, especially we as women of African descent, have to be in charge of, whether or not we want to. We are often criticized for what we do, but we need to be valorized for that. And there's historical precedence for it. And part of the reason why this organization was founded, this entity was founded, was to give us agency. And if you're going to lead, lead. There are different ways of doing so, and it is something that is intended to empower us as individuals, but as also as a society. Next slide. I founded the Royal Palace of the African Diaspora when I became Queen Mother of the African Diaspora in Benin Republic in 2022. I am the first person to hold this title, not only in Benin, but in the African continent. The significance of this is that among traditionalists and among the monarchies, they're recognizing just how important the African diaspora is. On the African continent, the true leaders, one can argue, are in fact the monarchs, the kings, the queen mothers, the queens, depending upon which country you're in. The traditional authorities, the traditional chieftaincy is the actual seat of power. It doesn't matter if there's a president or a prime minister. These two components of power, traditional and civil, have to work together. So in recognizing that there is a space that needs to be created for us, I was enthroned. There's stories a little bit more complicated than that, but that is a good part of it. And other members of the of monarchs in other African countries are recognizing the need to also have either queen mothers or kings of the African diaspora. And certainly as the Human Genome Project grows more and more complex and more of us are learning what our historical roots are, space has to be created to acknowledge our lineage. The Imperial Corps Agoodjié is an integral part of building the foundation of the Royal Palace. Its intention is to provide intergenerational circle of women of African descent with the tools to summon our divine feminine power into personal agency and to create socially transformative spaces. So there's an important social justice component to this. And perhaps I should have started with myself first, but I don't represent me. I represent all the women who have sat on thrones. And even though I'm the first to sit on this throne, I also represent all those who will come after me. So I am, as a result, the Pojito, the mother of the leopard of the Royal Palace of the African Diaspora. As the founder of the Imperial Corps Agoodjié, I am its commander-in-chief, and I also am the emissary of the Haut Conseil des Rois de Benin, the High Council of Kings of Benin. In Benin, let me say that the Pojito Queen Mothers are effectively female kings. I also happen to be an interfaith leader, an educator, a writer, and human rights activist. And these are all the things that led me down the road that I have, which has made me Queen Mother. Next slide. Just wanted to let you know what our mission statement is. The Imperial Corps Agoodjié of the African Diaspora preserves, transforms, and expands the legacy of the Agoodjié across the Afro-Atlantic world. And by sharing and promoting their history, our history, the ICAAD creates opportunities for spiritual agency, leadership, and further discipline of the daughters of Africa on the continent and the diaspora. The logo that we have reflects two crocodiles whose bellies are joined. The crocodile represents, well, first of all, the crocodile itself is the historic symbol of the Agoodjié, these legendary women warriors of the African continent, of the kingdom of Dahomey. I designed this logo to represent the Agoodjié, the warriors of the diaspora, as well as those of the continent. Their bellies are joined, and this means that they have a common fate, that we learn to compromise, that we work in solidarity with each other, that we work in union with each other. We have a shared belly. We understand when we feed ourselves, we nurture each other, and we are united and therefore cannot be divided by our enemies. The small flowers represent the fallen mothers and sisters who are warriors of the past and present, but they also represent rejuvenation, rebirth, tapping into the divine feminine warrior. The two swords are there to remind us that we are warriors, but knives don't only cut to bring harm, they cut to heal. Surgery is a healing process itself, or a reparatory process. So there's that as well. And then the crown is to remind us of whom we serve, but more importantly, that that our head, our ori, this is where spirit resides for us as African descended people, and having a healthy mind and spirit and good character are the ultimate gifts of and signs of one's agency, one's connaissance, and it is that head and the head that rules us that we must serve. But I also added in a couple of images. One is the logo of the International Decade for People of African Descent. This program, this initiative, particularly in Atlanta, was designed to take place to mark the end of this UN decade that started in 2015 and ends in 2024. A lot of people don't know that this has been in place, but this is part of the human rights movement that I've been a part of for well over a score. We're well over 20 years. But I want to help mark the decade with the presence of strong women of African descent, people of color, women of color, and their allies. But this also happens to be the 220th anniversary of the Haitian Revolution, and the legacy of the diaspora is being acknowledged. The Haitian Revolution didn't only liberate Haiti, but it effectively brought an end to what we call the Ma'afa, the transatlantic slave trade in captive Africans. So we'll be feting that as well. Next slide. Some of the activities that will be taking place are presentations. I myself will be making a presentation on how do we use the tools of warfare, of strategy for our day-to-day lives. And I'd like to think of it as a unique blend of not only military history, gender studies, but also spiritual praxis that should inform how we lead ourselves as strategists, as divine feminine warriors. We will have workshops such as those that teach us to use healing and protective herbs, and workshops in dance movement that is also intended to tap into the warrior spirit that resides in us. One of the big things that happens when we do this, no matter where we are, is building community, building sorority, building sisterhood, and connecting with the communities that we are in. So the relationships that are developed, whether it's over the course of a weekend, over the course of several days together, they end up resulting in relationships that last for years. There are athletic activities because we are building mind, body, spirit. So archery, mixed martial arts, kalinda or bois, which is another form, an indigenous form of it's stick fighting, a martial arts form that comes out of the Caribbean, is something that we're going to have a chance to learn and do and experience that not very many people here have had. And so looking forward to that. There are ritual or sacred components to this. There are rituals that will take place prior to this event. But the whole program is infused with spiritual energy, and there'll be small rituals, some of them overt, some of them more covert, that will accompany this process. And finally, there'll be a couple of local tours to historic places such as Smith Plantation, which is one of the larger plantations in Georgia, but it was built by some 35 Africans whose names are still unknown, or at least have remain undercover. But we'll also have a chance to go to the Southview Cemetery, which is the oldest Black-owned cemetery in the country, and well, at least in Georgia, and it is notable because people like Julian Bond, people like Martin Luther King Sr. and other members of the King family, Hank Aaron, are there. But there are also local heroes, local warriors who have been buried there, women who were the first to take steps towards changing their societies, and made arrangements to have us special performance done at the burial sites of 4 of the women who are notables in Atlanta. We have just one, 2 more slides to look at. I will look quickly at our instructors. Her Imperial Grace, Queen Cotalia de la Livre, who is a hoodooist, the Hoodoo Queen, who will be conducting the workshop on protective and healing herbs. She's an entrepreneur, a performer, an equestrian, and we consider ourselves quite fortunate that she will be joining us. We have Mr. Sylvester Pierce, who is a master survivalist. This is a brother who, if you are ever in trouble, literally up the creek, you want this man around you. But he's going to teach us Stop the Bleed, where first aid, CPR, and it's a 4-hour course, but you will be certified by the American Heart Association if you take this course. These are important skills to have, even if you're not in the woods. And I think, unfortunately, as things unveil themselves in this country, we will have greater appreciation for having these survival skills. Dr. Patrianne Edwards, she's technically not a doctor yet, but she will be by the time this event takes place. She is a phenomenal woman, also known as the Fire Goddess. She's an interdisciplinary choreographer, a multicultural educator, a cultural researcher. Dr. Edwards is going to not only instruct us in dance, but she is an expert on the Kalinda or Obwa fighting styles. And so we'll have a chance to learn from her in a couple of workshops. Coach Manu Nto is a shaman. He's a mixed martial artist. He is a world champion. And it is his grandfather, I believe it was, who actually taught Maladoma Some, someone whose names that we all know and affiliate with healing. Baba Manu is an unusual man, but he's brilliant, and he will teach us about the relationship between warriorship and why women, the divine chose woman as warrior, as well as the actual techniques for fighting. And then we have a young woman, a mother, Coach Maria Belen Romero. She's of Nicaraguan birth. She's an indigenous woman who will be teaching us the style of archery that is known as Western intuitive style. In this program, we believe that it's important to, you've got to learn to trust yourself. Trust your intuition. And archery is one of the foremost ways of doing that. It also teaches us the act of releasing, which is related to the act of forgiving. And I always say that a good warrior not only knows how to fight, but she knows how to heal. She has to be a diplomat, not just a warrior. And it's these aspects of warriorship that not only keep you focused and make it clear about what you're doing as you take aim. It is these things that have made it favored by so many African queens over the course of centuries. And the last slide is, again, on May 16th through the 19th in Atlanta, Georgia. We will be convening. We hope to have enough of you joining us for the boulder climbing, archery, the dances, the presentation, the tours, the workshops, the camaraderie, and more. And for those of you who are coming in from out of town, we have been in touch with one of the Hilton hotels, so that's where people would stay. We would also be providing transportation for those who are out of town. But if anyone is in Atlanta and needs transportation, they should let us know so we can make those arrangements as well. And for anyone who signs up tonight, there will be a special discounted fee. So the registration will take you there. I think we'll put it in the link as well, so you can go there directly and sign up. I'll be happy to take any questions later on, but I think we are now going to introduce you to our illustrious Agoodjié. Is that right, Project Manager Cadet?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Bobo. Okay, so our first cadet, is it Delisha who will be speaking? Okay.
All right, so greetings, everyone. My name is Delisha Marshall, also known as Dede Sensei. So I had the pleasure of traveling with the Queen Mother over to Benin. I believe it was in February of 2022 now, like time is flying. So it was such a pleasure to be a part of that inaugural trip. It was historic. Never in a million years did I think that that trip would make it into international newspapers. So it was just, I can't emphasize how amazing it was. And actually, it was a bit of divine timing, as I had recently come back from Benin a couple of months before, was shooting a documentary with the National Geographic. So to give you a little bit of my background, my ancestors were on the Clotilda, which is the last known slave ship to come from Benin to the United States. So traveling with the Queen Mother gave me another level of access to information and people that I didn't even get the opportunity to have when I traveled with that group. So that week was just jam-packed with activities, from visiting multiple palaces, learning dances, even getting the opportunity to learn songs in like the language that my ancestors spoke, which is Fanm. So it was just phenomenal. I don't want to give away too much. The slideshow gives you just the tip of the iceberg of some of the things that we've done, but I'm happy to pass it over to my sister cadets, as they will be able to tell you a little bit more about all of the things that we experienced over that week. Thank you.
Thank you, Cadet Delisha. Trying to get back to the gallery view. Okay, so you guys don't need me to come in between. So
Greetings. Hello, I'm Ramona Nlovu, also known as Dede Dòwòti, and I have begun my journey to explore my family's connection to Africa in a much more intentional way in 2022. And I asked for guidance, actually 2021, and I asked for guidance, and an opportunity came that year to travel to Trinidad and Tobago, my father's homeland. And once there, I learned about the ways that my paternal grandmother carried on traditions straight from Africa. My dad took a DNA test before he died, and we learned that 23% of his DNA is from Togo and Benin. And these two countries used to be one before the European land grab for Africa. I had set an intention to continue to visit my father's ancestral lands as the opportunities presented themselves. And I had been following Queen Mother on YouTube for several months as she was discussing the Haitian Revolution and lessons learned. And she mentioned the movie The Woman King and her plan to travel to Benin with a group of women. I immediately reached out to get more information, and that trip continued my learning from Queen Mother. And it was about, for me, about connecting more deeply to my roots in Africa. And it was also about learning to live into myself as a woman of the African diaspora, working out what that means by setting intentions, taking action, building bridges, and caring for my own person because of my calling. And each of us has a calling, and sometimes we need support or direction to carry it out. So about 4 days into our trip to Benin, we got to visit Queen Mother Nzogniedi. And I want to invite you to close your eyes and imagine yourself with us. We have arrived at the palace and are standing at the gate in a wall. We're being greeted in the traditional way with a woman pouring a calabash of water on the ground. Queen Mother Semevo I goes in first. She taps each toe of her shoe 3 times in the water before crossing the threshold. And Agoodjié leads us through the first gate, holding her sword and walking in slowly with measured steps through the courtyard to a building that has another threshold to cross. The translator tells us we need to go through this process before meeting the Queen. There is a long procession in front of us. I am crying as we walk. I am absorbing this simply African way of being in the world that I missed out on without even knowing it still existed. I am appreciating the richness, beauty, spiritual strength, and diversity no longer downplayed or negated. I can see, feel, hear, smell, taste, and touch it for myself. I hope you see yourself with us. Ayi bobo.
Ayi bobo. We should also let you know that Cadet Ramona is wearing the uniform that was provided to the Agoodjié who joined us in Benin. She's holding on her, I guess it's your left shoulder, your right shoulder, I can't tell from here. Recade or a makpon, which is a symbol of her authority. This was custom made for us. It is again reflective of the crocodiles with the joined bellies. And she is also wearing, as the other Agoodjié are, the caps that are also symbols of their authority, and their names are inscribed. The title Dede is Fanm Vayan. It's a warrior woman. It's a term of affection, endearment, and tremendous respect in Haiti. And so at least our first cadets have Dede as part of their title, as well as each of them was given a Beninese and African name. And so I just wanted to let everyone know that. Thank you. Next, we have Cadet
Hi, everyone.
Leanne. Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Liana. My name is Dòwòti, and the Imperial Corps Agoodjié of the African Diaspora, ICAAD toured to Benin in February 2023, led by Her Royal Majesty, Queen Mother Dòwòti Désír, Semevo I, was a transformative experience. This tour was my first time on the continent of Africa, which made it even more special. We experienced so much on our 7-day tour, learning about the rich history and legacy of the Agoodjié and building bridges between Africa and the African diaspora. From being welcomed by an African diasporic community that has repatriated to Benin, led by Queen Mère Ja and Père Ja, to engaging with the beautiful children of the Solidarity Orphanage, led by Gilbert and Antoinette Jophine, to connecting with my sister cadets, Ramona, Delisha, and Alana, and Queen Mother, who experienced this journey with me, and many, many more memorable moments. It was life-changing. This experience reminded me of my power and our collective power to make positive social change. This tour was a unique and immersive experience that has continued to impact me in powerful ways. Thank you, Queen Mother, for your dedication and efforts.
Thank you. Thank you, Cadet Liana. And last but not least, we have Cadet Alana.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here. My name in Fombe is Dede Aniwi, and it means the one who's always asking why. Pourquoi? Pourquoi? So the endless researcher. When I am existing as a liberated Black Afro-Caribbean enlightened woman, I am constantly thinking about what advancement means and progress, air quotes. And I'm thinking about what industries drive progress. And I listen to our public discourse. And right now, I've been feeling very unsettled with the vision that others have of advancement, modernization, and quote unquote progress. More and more, I am becoming determined to advance a different vision of progress, one that is centered in justice and in indigenous ethnologies, excuse me. And so I find that the vision of the ICAAD, the Imperial Corps Agoodjié of the African Diaspora, is in harmony with the vision of the world that I would like to help bring about, remember, resuscitate, reinforce, review, and live and thrive in. Thank you. So, I will. We have a bit of photo slideshow of images that we'd like to show with you. And as Cadet Ramona had us close our eyes, now you get to open them and see what were the experiences that we had. I'll do my best to contextualize some of them as we pass by. So let me go back into this photograph. Oh, 1 second. Let me come out and come back in. Something. Okay, good. Excuse me. Our photos in the beginning of our journey in Cotonou, visited many historic landmarks. This is Her Excellency, a Deputy Ambassador in Bhutan. This is the door of no return, the canoe where some of our ancestors saw and never returned. Meals with breakfast and local food. When we took the long journey, we had breakfast together in a hotel in Cotonou. At Ramona, at the Vayan, Benin, very important port in our history. And our hotel in Agome had amazing sculptures, so beautiful. King Zoni Palace were welcomed by drummers and dancers. As we listened towards the kings and queens that were very instrumental in the fight against colonialism and the advancement of Naomi. This is Queen Mother was the incarnation of an 18th century queen. We got to experience the culture also through our embodied practice. We were taught traditional songs and dances of the Agoodjié. Lots of breakfasts together. Professor Aho Mignon is a historian and an independent researcher, and especially on the history of the kings of Dahomey and the Agoodjié militant army. We walk through a theater of war of sorts, an open museum created by the great King Fanm Vayan. Planners, especially missions for the ICAAD. King Fanm Vayan was a great king of Dahomey and is associated often with the shark and the egg being held in one hand as a metaphor for this king and his present day incarnation. This is the statue of King Fanm Vayan. We received gifts that were cloth that had been commissioned. The orphanage that our cadets have visited was also a very impactful part of the trip. Herbal healing was a practice of the Agoodjié, is a part of traditional spiritual practice in life all over the world. Queen Palace. And next to our beautiful hotel had such gorgeous, inspiring visions of us and nature. This king had a very long name, but I remember Kanji. We were guests of this particular king in Zagnado, Benin. We had a long wait time. There was a lot of hanging out and meeting, and the ceremony by which we received our names and the sacrifice was offered to the divinity, and when we received our card happened at this king's palace way early in the morning, so we were very, very tired. Much song and ritual accompany this very, very long ceremony for us. Queen Mother gave a speech. And she talked about the role of our modern day Agoodjié. One of our cadets had a private ritual of his testimony. And this is Cadet Delisha. She is actually a direct descendant of the Agoodjié and came back with her family to research that particular palette, and that woman recognized her from the year that she was here. And bas reliefs are a big part of Fanm Vayan culture and regional culture, and they work as a record book. They keep history of the victories of their warriors. We are standing all next to an Agoodjié. And we did not leave Benin without paying homage to the fallen warriors. This was an unmarked grave, and Queen Mother was very, very adamant about going there and paying our homage. We were guided by one of the last kings, past kings that we visited. Excuse me, I don't remember his name. And Queen Mother took us in with songs. We stopped and we sang songs in Vodou, songs to the Roi. Chanted and we cried together in a circle, and flowers were laid and prayers were said. And we bonded as children and really spent time together. Our drivers were also part of the community, very much a part of our experience. Was a frog. It was very important for Cadets and I to, teach the frog. But then Ramona went back to town and got her fabric especially made for her. The Agoodjié warriors of old
Beautiful. Brings back so many wonderful, wonderful memories. And we're hoping to make new ones with those of you who sign up for the Women Warriors Weekend, 16th through the 19th of May in Atlanta. We have a few minutes, and if there are any questions that anyone has to myself or any of the Agoodjié, please feel free to raise your hand or to speak up, and we'll be happy to respond. Okay. I don't see any questions.
Shall we sing our song?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to perform the call. And Cadet Ramona, would you like to do the response? Okay. And hey, if you guys want to join in, yeah, feel free to join in. This song is about an ancient king that was very well loved and respected. Akaba, Kaba, yo, be.
Aye, yo, be.
Akaba, Kaba, yo, be.
Aye, yo, be.
Akaba, Kaba, yo, be.
Aye,
Aye,
yo,
be.
Ay, bobo.
Aye, bobo. Well, again, if we can maybe put up a screen that shows where you can register. Again, anyone who signs up tonight, coming from out of town to Atlanta, will receive the 1804 fee. But you have to sign up tonight, April 5th. Instead of paying, it's $19.20, I believe. And anyone from Atlanta who signs up tonight will receive $50 off. But whenever you sign up, you do have until we decided the week before, the 5th of May, or
Oh, you're talking about
the last day for signing up.
the last day to register for
Yeah.
the Women Warriors Weekend is May 10th. Payment plans are available up to April 11th, so April 10th is the last day. And all of that is found on the website, the registration site. I'm sorry, Queen Mother. I'll let you
Go
continue.
ahead.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, the ICAAD is presenting Women's Warrior Weekend, as Queen Mother said, 16th through 19th of May. You can learn more about what Queen Mother just shared, the workshops, the heritage tours, the ritual work, the community building, all of that. And the registration is on the link in the chat. Please share it with the other warriors in your life. There is a discount being applied today for people who are registering today. So, and if that's going to be extended, we'll let you know. But I'm going to put the promo codes in the chat. Early Bird OOS is the promo code for those who are outside of the state. Okay, and then Early Bird ATL for those who are Atlanta based.
Yeah.
Okay.
The recording will be available on YouTube, correct?
Yeah, we're going to bring it to all of your social media channels, as well as it'll be on the registration page.
Okay. Well, thank you all so very much. Seeing the photos and the videos just filled me with joy, and I know I will be filled further with joy, as will all of you who join us in Atlanta. The longer term vision is to host the Women Warriors Weekend, not just in Atlanta, but elsewhere in this country. There's so many spaces and places in which women of African descent find themselves engaged in one battle or another. And the purpose of this initiative is not only to remind ourselves that we are not alone, but to strengthen ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually. So we look forward to seeing you then. If there are any questions, please write us. Go to the website, imperialcorpsagoodjié.org, to learn more about the overall vision for the Imperial Corps Agoodjié. Thank you.
And please follow Queen Mother Dòwòti on social media. On Instagram, she's at Queen Mother Dòwòti, and on Facebook, Majesty Hojito with the K, Dòwòti Désír.
Thank you.
I thought I heard a question. Was someone wanting to make a comment or question?
Oh, hi. I wasn't going to ask a question, but I'm actually from St. Lucia, and I didn't know that this thing existed. But I would like to thank Ramona for inviting me to the info session. It was I felt like I should have been there in Benin, but I am currently following Mother on Instagram, so I will be looking forward to more. I wish I could attend in May. I don't know yet, but if I can, then I will. But this session was very informative, and so thank you for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Well, once again, thank everyone here. We leave you with our hearts open and with benedictions, and with the hope that our Creator will protect and guide you, and open new doors for your lives that will enrich your experiences here even further. So we give thanks. Aye, Bobo.
Hi, Bobo.
Hi, Bobo.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.